edition of Kicking It Back with Matt, and I'll go into detail about sports history events throughout this show. Before I start, I'd like to give shout outs to my show, the Casual Sports Podcast, with my co-host Alec Caberna. So make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter with the hashtag Casual Sports Report, and we are now on Spotify and iTunes. So be sure to hit us up on that. And so I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to be talking about the 1989 World Series. This World Series is known as the Bay Series. It was between the Oakland Athletics and the San Francisco Giants. This series is significant in sports history because in Game 3 of the World Series, a massive earthquake went off and it just devastated the whole city of San Francisco, pretty much the whole state of California. But before I start talking more about that, I'm going to talk about the teams, and I'll go into about Game 3 and what happened and what all went down. So, starting off with the teams, the Oakland Athletics, they had a magnificent record of 99-63 players and managers that helped them to that record. You had Ricky Henderson, who overall had 1,406 career stolen bases in his career. You had first baseman Mark McGwire, that guy's a 12-time All-Star. You had outfielder and designated hitter Jose Canseco, who was a 6-time All-Star, and he also got a World Series with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in 2000. And then the A's were led by manager Tony La Russa, who also helped the Cardinals to World Series championships in 2006 and 2011. As I'm saying, also, he also won a World Series with the Rays, and La Russa also won World Series championships with the Cardinals. That kind of gives in who won this World Series. The A's did defeat the Giants in a sweep, actually, but their pathway to the World Series, they defeated the Toronto Blue Jays 4-1. They totally just moved through the playoffs, as did the Giants. And speaking of them, their record was not better than the A's, but they still had a record of 92-70, which is amazing still. And their players and members, Will Clark, first baseman, a 6-time All-Star throughout his career. You have third baseman Matt Williams, who later helped the Indians reach the World Series in 1997. They didn't win it, but he led them there. He helped them. And then he later won a championship with the Diamondbacks in 2001. Randy Johnson was also on that team. Then he also had pitcher Scott Geraltz, who was the NL ER leader in 1989. So both of these teams were just a powerhouse of teams, and they both easily made it to the World Series. The Giants defeated the Cubs in the NLCS also 4-1. There was no match until the actual World Series happened. Speaking of which, in Game 1, obviously the A's won it. A designated hitter for the A's, Dave Parker, who spent some time with the Pittsburgh Pirates and then came to Oakland. Tattooed a home run to lead off the third off Scott Geraltz, and then the Oakland starter Dave Stewart just dominated throughout the game. And the A's won the game. They took Game 1, and then in Game 2, just the A's all over again. The Giants had no answer. The big hit in the game was a 3-run home run from Terry Steinbach, and the A's took that game 5-1. Now, in Game 3, this is where tragedy struck. The game was about to go underway in Candlestick Park in San Francisco, and I think the earthquake happened around 5:04, right before the game was about to start, and it was this horrible. Can't see where it is. It was October 17th, 1989, at 5:04 p.m. The game was scheduled to start at 5:35 p.m. at Candlestick, like I said. Thousands of people were already in the stadium when the earthquake hit. The earthquake was a 6.9 magnitude. It wasn't. Now people were in the stadium. I mean, this was a time where you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have Twitter or anything. So people in the stadium had no idea what was going outside. You know, you had the Cypress Bridge go down, 42 people killed. People were just crushed. I was watching the documentary, the 30 for 30 documentary. They said that the guy said he saw a bus that was crushed down to like 2 inches, and that's just devastating. And then also the Bay Bridge was broken in half too. And so the game was ultimately canceled. You had Al Michaels in the booth, and Al Michaels, who is kind of known of covering the events that are big in history. He also covered the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team defeating the Soviet Union, the Miracle on Ice. So wherever he goes, better watch his game. And then in the CBS radio booth next door, you had Jack Buck, whose son Joe Buck is now a broadcaster. So that's pretty cool. You also had Johnny Bench and John Rooney in that booth with him. But back to about the World Series and the earthquake. I think 63 people died, and all of it killed 63 people. It's just nobody can do anything. In this, baseball, the game to all the players was just all secondary. They're worrying about their kids at home and like how they're gonna get back to their kids. Oakland is 3-4 hours away, and they don't know whether their families, like I said, no phones or anything, no cell phones. They don't know if their families are okay. It's just horrible. You don't know what's going on. I think they played during the game when the games went out. They were playing reruns of Roseanne and the Wonder Years, and then Ted Koppel began anchoring the news and the coverage of just the devastation across the city. The Goodyear blimp that was covering the game also covered footage of the fires and the bridge breaking and just a bunch of stuff. During the documentary, one of the guys was up on the lights, up on the ladders when it happened, and he said they said it only lasted 17 seconds, but he said that thing lasted. It felt like it lasted minutes, and after the aftermath of the earthquake, you still had aftershocks going through, and then finally the commissioner of baseball, who was, I think his name was Fay Vincent, decided to cancel the game. There's no baseball, and there was no baseball for I think 10 days. I think it was October 17th, and then 10 days later, Game 3, October 27th, they came back and played, and it was back in Candlestick Park. They were back at Candlestick Park for Game 3. This game, the A's won again. It was the score of 13-7. This game was a record for most combined home runs in a World Series game, which is 7. You had home runs on the Oakland side for Dave Henderson, Tony Phillips, and Jose Canseco, the big power hitter who was with Mark McGwire. They were dubbed the Bash Brothers. And then Carney Lansford also hit a home run. And then for San Francisco, Matt Williams hit a home run, and then Bill Bath hit a home run. But for this game, Ron Hasse was catching for Oakland, who was in place of Terry Steinbach. And obviously he spent some time with the Indians. But the A's got another win here, and you know what? They did the same thing in Game 4. And this was also the last Candlestick's last final. It was the final World Series game in Candlestick. The A's won the game. They won 9-6. It was a nail biter. You had a home run from Ricky Henderson, and it was a back and forth. Ricky Henderson's home run set the tone, and that was pretty much it. The Rays took the World Series. The Giants were hoping to get some encouragement, from the city because of what happened, this massive earthquake, but they couldn't do it. So they lost the World Series along with this devastating earthquake. But I could talk more about this, but I'm just about out of time. Here, as always, I'm Matt Morrison. I'll see you next time on Casual Sports Report and with Kicking Back with Matt. We got many more shows with you about many more events in sports history. We'll see you next time.